Here's a very inexpensive knife that I snatched up at a Ace hardware store, and it's branded as DeWalt, a famous power tool brand. It was so inexpensive and looked decent in the package that I decided to grab it and give you guys a full op review. Not only me showing you how it flips, but also disassembly, look at the edge under the microscope, and even a hardness test on my Rockwell benchtop hardness tester. So stay tuned and watch to the end to see if it's worth occupying any space in your pocket or in your tool belt, especially if you're a hard-working craftsman there that it does not care about collectability or other knife enthusiast terminology. So let's go.
So this is an interesting phenomenon. Knives like this with a tool brand like DeWalt, Milwaukee, Cobalt, they get reviewed by tool guys, by tool influencers on YouTube. And for some reason, most of them don't even catch the eye of the knife enthusiast reviewers, primarily because of this. See, if knife enthusiast sees just stainless steel, they will automatically make an assumption that it is some kind of junk steel not worth even reviewing. What they would consider junk steel, they'll actually throw pretty decent steels in that pile, like 420A, 5CR15 MOV, 7CR17 MOV. They will say these stainless steels are junk because the mind of a knife enthusiast has been trained to sort of seek out steels which are much more expensive, but not for a reason that you think. They're more expensive because they either produced in smaller quantities and therefore more scarce, or they require a very complicated heat treating procedure. 7CR17 MOV has the same toughness and edge retention as 1075 that LT Wright is using in a lot of fixed blades, and roughly the same corrosion resistance as M390. And those steels are used on the much more expensive knives. They pack this knife with a bunch of premium features like this wire pocket clip you usually find on Spyderco knives. Also from the packaging we learned that the handle material is actually aluminum. And while that is often seen on the box cutters, you know, utility blades, aluminum handle on a pocket knife is actually considered to be a more premium option. Don't take my word for it. Go to Benchmade website and compare prices of the bug out with plastic handle versus aluminum, and you will see what I'm talking about. And this knife is not even made in China. All this multifaceted geometry, compound grinds, and serrations were fabricated by someone in Vietnam. Pretty sure it's going to be the first Vietnamese-made knife in my collection. How about yourselves? Write me a comment if you have one. Oh wait, it runs on ball bearings for 15 bucks. So my conclusion is this knife deserves a real knife review by a knife reviewer, and we shall start with why Tanto blade is good for utility tool. Take it out of the, break it out of this blister pack prison, and here I'm using the Tanto blade just to show you how much utility this extra point adds to your knife. And the reason I'm saying that is if I had like a regular draw point, I would have to risk my tip opening this knife, this package. But here I am using this extra point that it has to break through the plastic, and it also ensures that I'm not going to poke deeper than I have to inside this packaging. Of course, they got the pocket clip here. Let me figure out what's the best way to deal with that. See how it tries to get in there, and I'm not even worried. So there you go. I can break it loose now. Okay. Whew. So they put the clip in. Oh man, it's locked in there. They put the clip in on the tip down carry, which is if you're wearing coveralls, you have chest pockets. It's actually quicker and safer to put it in and extract it from the chest point. And let's see how the thumb studs, that's a primary opening method. Anytime you see thumb studs on the knife, consider that your primary opening method because they will most likely tune detents to the thumb studs, not necessarily. Oh, actually, it did great. What is not doing great is the engagement between the lock.
Now, I'm not sure what's going on here, but I am planning to break this knife open, take it apart, and see what's going on in this engagement there.
So it looks like I have to be very assertive at how far I press it down, but after that it shakes close, and I think it's going to be a break-in type issue. So let's try the light switch action like this. Anemic. And then the push button. Straight down like this. Much better. So push button action for this. And I'm using my middle finger for reverse flicking, using the thumb stud. And here's just the original thumb method on the thumb stud. Let's do hardware check. I got HOTO. These are bit drivers that I promote. They're multi-bit drivers. And it looks to me like it could actually be a T10 at the pivot. Is it? Oh my. Yeah, it's just like a much more expensive Benchmade. They chose a T10 bit for the pivot. If you feel like, let's say if you have a blade play here, you would tighten it up. But the key is to find the balance between no play and a smoother action. Let's talk about the other hardware. Let's see what the size of the hardware is for the, it's not T10, so we're going to look for T8 to switch the pocket clip on the opposite side. And because I carry my blades in the pocket on my pants, in the side pocket, it is a little safer if your blade is equipped with this feature, with a flipper, and or thumb studs, by the way. It's a little safer to carry it tip up.
The flipper tab only works in one direction. So in this orientation, knife is resting against the middle seam on your pants inside your pocket. So even if you jammed something against those thumb studs, the blade has no way to go anywhere because it'll hit the seam before deploying.
If you put it in a pocket like this, just pulling the keys out, the key ring can catch on the thumb stud, or if you're putting a pen in, you can accidentally deploy it. And what will happen in your pocket, it will partially deploy. You won't know about it because you won't feel it. And then when you go to sit down, it can actually give you a nasty cut. So for pocket, in the pant pocket carry, everybody, and myself included, recommends, yeah, it's a T8. Recommend switching the pocket clip for the tip up carry here. It's very simple. It's a Spyderco style. Spyderco is a much more expensive knife brand, and I think they pioneered these wire pocket clips, and it's held in place with this just single screw here, which is a very easy swap. Very easy swap if you're dexterous, so you can do it, you can trick it like this. You just drop the screw in, let it ride in between the two pieces of wire, and then you're trying to hit the screw hole while lining up these wires with the little channels here. There you go. And once you tighten it up, and it says be careful here, it's T8 into aluminum. You should not exert more than 20-25 inch-pounds. And now with it out of the way, this actually fits great in the hand, because when I compress the handle, let me deploy the blade. I compress the handle and there's enough flexibility. It lines itself with my hand's anatomy, I guess, in such a manner that I don't feel it. Very nice aggressive jimping when you are using the serrated area or applying a lot of pressure on the cut, cutting against a strap. That gives you a little bit of extra gription. The wide flat here on the blade allows you to get in close. So if you were opening a Amazon package, you could just go like this. This way you will not go deep into the package. Kind of neat feature that I like on Tanto blades. So pretty thick behind the edge thickness, meaning it's not going to be like a super slicer. but here we go. It's sharp enough out of the box. It gives you this ability to get under stuff, like so, like pry stickers off the glass. Let's take a peek inside this knife. And here's your liner. That's the spring that holds the blade, and lock bar slash spring that holds the blade back. So when the blade is in an open position, this part of it engages the blade like so, and it prevents it from turning until you release it by pushing down. And this little tiny bowl here is called a detent bowl. So when the blade is in a closed position, the frame sits like that. That bowl is in this recess hole right there. And what it does, it creates additional tension. So when you build up the force against the thumb stud or the flipper tab, you have to build pressure and kind of push the bowl out of its nest, and then inertia propels the blade much faster. Okay, they left the burr on this ledge here where it didn't get where, and that's why I'm having difficulty disengaging. And so that's why I'm going to use this diamond plate. Let me just, this is one of these measure twice, cut once. Yeah, so I'm going to just give it just a slight bevel. So you don't want to get onto this surface because that's where the lock is engaging. But you can deburr, give it a little bit of a bevel. Okay, so I got some bevel there going on, and I think when I reassemble it, it will be a lot easier to deal with. So we're going to put the pivot in. Then the bearing, I put the open side of the bearing cage toward the blade. You need to rotate. There is actually an aligning feature that needs to be rotated toward the back or bottom of the handle. And then I'm going to replace the blade, the bearing, and the washer. Set it down. Drop the stop pin in. These are very maintainable knives. The less expensive they are, sometimes they make them so industrially adept that they're very easy to maintain. So now the features align. Now we need to make sure we didn't shift that aligning feature, and it dropped right in, so we're good. I'm going to capture it with a pivot screw. I'm not going to tighten it all the way in. I'm just going to there's Loctite on it, and I'm not going to add fresh Loctite. If you don't have Loctite, borrow the nail polish from your wife and put just a little tiny needle pin drop on the threads, and it will prevent it from unscrewing. And I'm going to put this T6 back in now on the rear end. Okay. Oh yeah, and so my ploy with a little bevel that I ground totally eliminated this problem of not being able to go past the lock point. It's still a little rough, but I think it'll wear out as the parts wear together. One thing I don't like is now that I moved the pocket clip from here to here, now there's like a bunch of holes here on this side of the blade, but it's a work knife. And so it's fully assembled now. There's no play. We eliminated the issue of overlock. It's still centered pretty good, right on center. And now I can put it in my pocket, tip up. Super ergonomic. This is very neutral shape. It will fit any hand. This is a nice recess here. I have no difficulty accessing the lock bar because there's this huge flipper tab that doubles up as a finger guard when it's deployed. When the blade is deployed, it doubles up as a finger guard. But when it's folded, this is now a flipper tab, see? So that also hits my nail, preventing the blade from, like if it wasn't there, the blade could have just closed all the way onto my thumb or finger, and that would be highly undesirable. Balance is good. This does not feel like a tool store knife. It feels like any good solid EDC knife that you pay a lot of money for. Very neutral balance and ergonomics. You can change the grips easily. It has good texture here and jimping where it's needed and none where you don't. Very almost like integral handle. It's a really well designed spacer, goes all the way. And if you're cutting for a while, you will not get a blister here. There's not enough roughness to this texture. So overall, great design, DeWalt. Very, very fidgety, very fun blade. Imagine opening your bag of chips for lunch and showing off a little bit amongst your buddies. And this knife can do it. I am going to include the footage of this edge under the microscope so that you can see what you're getting there for your 15 bucks. Well, a little bit of a bad news. You can see the discoloration near the tip, and the metal at the edge is chipping out a little bit. That's because they overheated it or applied too much pressure to the sharpening belt when they were sharpening it. And the rest of the edge looks decent. You know, it's stropped somewhat from the factory, and sometimes it can actually work against you. Like you see those chipping is because they stropped it too soon without weakening the burr. You have to watch videos about that. I don't have time to explain all these little wisdoms of sharpening here, but take my word for it, this is a rush job. Here's the serrations. The serrations actually look like they've been done by someone else, and that person knew a little more about sharpening than the first one. It kind of makes sense. Here's the laser etching. It says DeWalt. And let me show you a three-dimensional view of that apex, or the cutting edge. Actually, for the price, it's at the same level of quality as a Benchmade, and I have numerous videos showing how horrendous Benchmade edges are lately. And here's a quick hardness test. I already poked it twice. You can see perhaps right here on the blade. So I already know what that is, but I wanted to make sure you get to see that too. So here we go. We're gonna set the 0 on my Rockwell tester. It is calibrated. My device runs repeatability of plus minus 0.2 HRC, not 2 points, plus or minus 0.2 HRC, or 2/10. So I zeroed it out. Now I'm releasing the major load. It's 150 kilos that press the blade against this diamond indenter there. And once this lever stops moving, I release the pressure and read it on the outer or black numbered scale. And I consistently get 56.5. So the hardness of this blade is 56 to 56.9, somewhere in that area based on my repeatability. And it's actually on par with what you would expect from a brand like, say, Gerber or Case. So that tells me it's probably 420 or 5CR or 7CR steel that they used. I think I am going to actually put this knife into my rotation, carry it sometimes. And people do know that I collect pricey knives, and sometimes they ask me to show what's in my pocket. Imagine the joy I will experience showing them a $15 knife sharpened to perfection. And maybe I forgot to mention, the fact that it's under 59 HRC means you can use pretty much any sharpening media to sharpen it. You can sharpen it on a piece of a sandpaper, if you know what I mean. You can sharpen it on a diamond plate like a much more expensive knife, or you can just take your granddad's sharpening stone that's been sitting in your garage for years, and it will still be able to put the edge on something at that hardness level. That's why a lot of military knives are kept at that level of hardness, so that a soldier can sharpen it in the field. So, I hope you enjoyed the review. If you have not been on my channel before, I provide this service to the community. I do not promote the knife, so don't look for affiliate links to the knife. I don't sell you knives. I do advertise some of the tools that I use for disassembly, maintenance, and sharpening these blades. And if you would like to help my channel out,
You can click on those links in the description for this video. You can also become a member of my channel, and I would really appreciate a subscription from you, because I think I'll be bringing more and more of a mix between collectible and just hard-working tools to the channel.